Hello, everyone. It's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope you guys can hear me. I found a space that's kind of away from everyone else and everything else, so I don't feel like a lunatic when I'm doing these videos. I'm hoping the waves aren't too loud. I'm on the rocks. This is where I am. I hope you can see this. It's eggs in the background. There is a unique problem in America dealing with guns. And there is an honesty that I think is missing in this conversation about guns. There's been a mass shooting, another mass shooting. But let's be clear, screaming for gun control is somewhat of an easy way out. It never really gets to the root of why this takes place. Can we, for the moment, engage the argument that it goes beyond just saying we need to limit the person's ability to get guns, but goes to this root of why does an individual decide to and destroy and maim and eliminate other people? What is the thing that gets into an individual that says, I want to completely destroy another human being, massive amounts of human beings? What is that thing? That's the thing that needs to be engaged. Saying that you want stricter gun control laws doesn't get rid of the impetus of a person to want to get a weapon and do that. You have a that is awash in guns. How do you do that? How do you put stricter controls on guns? You have more guns than people at this point. How do you do it? Let's be very clear. People experience aberrant behavior. Now, we like to act like this is an individual choice. This is not an individual choice. Free will, in this case, I don't necessarily fully believe exists. Whatever that person was going through, that person was existing in a reality where they said, we woke up in the morning, and in the same way that you or I will wake up in the morning, think about what we're going to do for the day, go to work, eat our Cheerios, kiss our wife, play our Xbox, or do whatever we need to do, that person woke up saying, I need to destroy other life, other human beings with wives and kids. I need to destroy other life. This is not an individual choice. That's the point I'm trying to get at. This is a sick society. Your society is trying to get across something to you, that there is something fundamental about it that's off. This doesn't happen everywhere else. This is a said symptom of a sick society. Stop acting as if this is an individual choice. Stop acting as if this is always mental illness. You need to engage the part of what is the societal role in this. You have a capitalistic system. That capitalistic system has created, let's say, scenarios where people maximize their profit. Now, in maximizing their profit, some people end up in harsh, difficult, I got hit by water, harsh, difficult situations. And in living in those harsh, difficult situations, their needs often go unmet. Now, if you want to say mental illness, fair enough, but is there any level of intervention between the point of that person being where he is and to the point of the person getting a gun and destroying other human beings? Mental illness is too easy. I'm sorry. Engage my argument. A society where in that society, people often go without their needs. People often end up in difficult situations. Now, some people can compensate pretty well to living in difficult situations. My mom compensated quite well being in a situation where oftentimes she didn't have the things to make ends meet, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul in order to pay back Peter. But not everybody is that strong. Not everybody is that intact. And let's be clear that there are some of us that are weaker than others. And in that weakness, be it of mind, be it of body, that's not necessarily a negative thing to say that there is weakness. I don't say that as a negative. I just mean that there are aspects of the personality that don't accommodate the issues well. And they react. The bomber who was sending off bombing just had his house foreclosed and was scared that they were going to cut his electricity off. That guy was literally in a situation where his needs weren't being met, and he goes out sending off bombs for Trump. It's nonsense. Another guy decides to kick open a door and shoots several Jews because he thinks Jews are Mexicans in order to do some kind of immigration nonsense. What is the reality that these people are living in? What is the reality? I'm sorry, it's not the guns. It's not the guns. If it wasn't a gun, it'd be a knife. If it wasn't a knife, it would be a box cutter. If it wasn't a box cutter, it'd be a bomb that doesn't hit at the root cause of what's creating a system of aberrant behavior in the individuals. And by the way, you know, our social system too. We're a violent culture. We're spending $1 trillion on the military while other people live on the streets. Other situations where people don't even have clean water to drink, like in Flint, Michigan, and all throughout the United States where they don't even want to engage that. A tax system that doesn't want to tax the wealthiest, but instead borrow from the wealthiest in order to spend more on shooting and killing people. Despair. Yeah, despair. Despair. Joe Chorizo thinks it's guns. You think it's guns because it's Democrats. You just want to back up Democrats. It's nonsense. Just because a person has a box cutter or a knife or whatever else, that doesn't hit at the root. You're missing my point. It doesn't hit at the root. You're nonsense. You're saying nonsense. You're saying nonsense. I understand you want to back up your Democratic Party. Your Democratic Party is doing the throwaway because they don't want to engage the system itself. That's what it boils down to. Yes, guns are designed to kill. It's not the guns. Yes, guns allow people to kill a large number of people. That is true. That is absolutely true. I agree with you 100% on that. But why? Why? Canada has tons of guns. Canada doesn't have these mass shootings in this way. Why? I love my John Wick. I love my John Wick. I'm saying we have a violent culture. We have a down culture. The Democrats have never taken on an NRA ever. Dude. Joe, explain to me. Explain to me. Why do you believe that an individual, all throughout the country, we have mass shootings every day in this country, why do you believe that an individual would decide to grab a gun and go and destroy somebody else? Yes, I understand they're using a gun to do it. Yes, I agree. But why? Why? What is the thing that's in the individual? Canada does have guns. Canada does have guns. He's never going to answer that point. Because that gets at my point that there's more to it than just an individual getting their hand on the weapon. That weapon could be some of anything. Even if a person grabs a knife and kills one person, why are you okay with the individual grabbing a knife and killing one person? What is the thing that's in that individual that's driving that behavior? I would argue to you, no, it's not just mental illness. That's nonsense. You have mass shootings every day. Every day you have a mass shooting. It's not to the degree of 12 people, but every day you have a mass shooting. Canada doesn't glorify guns as does the U.S. That's true. That is true. They don't glorify guns in this way. They don't glorify guns in the same way. Look, all I'm saying is Democrats are going to scream, gun, it's the gun, we need to ban guns. And I would agree that we do need to get our hands. Mass shootings, yeah, there are multiple shootings every day. All throughout the United States, at least 2 people, where somebody has a gun and there are multiple shootings and occurrences every day. Yeah, that's true. Take a chill pill, yeah. People being murdered, and your thing is take a chill pill. I'm pointing something that's fundamental, that continually goes unmissed. That fundamentally goes unmissed. Okay, let's say multiple homicide. Okay, if you want to be specific, fair enough. But don't miss my point. Every day people are killed with guns in the United States. There are other things that people can use to murder people. My niece, my aunt, was in a relationship where the guy used a knife in order to try to essentially take her head off. That wasn't a gun. Mentally ill, maybe, but it wasn't a gun. Can we accept for the moment that there are some people who react to things worse than others? And in some people reacting to things worse than others, they experience aberrant behavior when they are squeezed by a society. Can we accept that? I think that's fundamentally true. You don't have access to health care, maybe mental health care. You don't have access to health care from the standpoint of just, medical stuff. You don't have access to the funds you need to make sure your lights stay on. You're robbing from Peter to pay Paul. You feel that the system is letting you down. There's all sorts of things that create a haven for a person to do that. And yeah, the glorification of guns and violence in this society comes back home to roost. This guy was in the military and uses the skills that we as a collective society invested in him to help do it. All I'm saying is, this argument that Democrats make is that we just need more gun laws. Yes, we do need more gun laws. Yes, it's true that people shouldn't get their hands on equipment that is supposed to be used on a battlefield. Even if they don't have their hands on battlefield technology, it's still the guns in and of themselves. But this is not just mental illness. Full stop. It's not just mental illness. And it's not just gun laws. There's more to it. This country is built on hate and promoting violence equals strength. That is true. Yes. Yes. Jamal, since when do sane people shoot 20 people for no reason? Clyde, what is in the individual that makes that person do that? You're assuming that the person is mentally ill. There are all sorts of things that are cultural. Like you said, this identification and glorification of violence. When the two people went into, was it Michigan, Colorado? The mass shooting in Colorado, where the guy donned on this kind of matrix clothing and go into a school and just started massacring the people who were in the school. They weren't mentally ill. Now, you want to say they're mentally ill because you don't want to deal with this thing that your society promotes, a certain degree or a certain culture that glorifies this stuff. Let's be fair. Let's be clear. Let's be very clear. Let's be very clear. Stop just putting it on mental illness, because it's not just mental illness. That's my point. That's my point. There's some people who are soaking in cultures and reality that we don't quite get. And we have to ask ourselves, what causes that culture that that person lives in? What causes the thing that creates a haven for an individual to decide that this is what they want to do? That needs to be engaged. That needs to be questioned. And that's the issue of the society itself, not purely that of an individual making an individual choice. That's only my point. That's my only point. Democrats scream gun laws because that's easy. More than 50 of the 90-plus shooting victims a day are suicides. 3 of the mass shootings. 3 mass shooting victims. The UK has a similar problem with knives. Yes, you have mass stabbings in the UK. Now, if those were guns, those would be a lot more people. This is kind of my point. It's not just the gun. It's not just the gun. It is chilly here, Clyde. The weather is a little chilly. Look, I'm not going to keep this long. All I'm saying is we have a violent culture. This is not just an individual choice. There was something that was put into that individual that got that person to believe that this was the right course. You can't just blame it on the person when this keeps happening. You can't just blame it on the individual when this keeps happening. At a certain point, the society has to look at itself and ask, what is in the society that creates havens for individuals to want to go and destroy other human beings? And even if you want to put it on mental illness, what is in the society that didn't allow that society to catch that individual before getting to the point of believing that this was the right course of action? That's my only point. That point would never be engaged, because engaging that point puts society itself on trial. And society doesn't want to engage that. Also, the Democratic Party is never going to want to confront their donors. In order to deal with an issue of people not having access to their needs, be it medical, from issues like mental illness, or being squeezed by salaries going nowhere but bills going through the roof, they would have to deal with their donors. They would never deal with their donors, at least not in the way that they're organized now. You do have several bright spots that are running throughout the country that are trying to deal with their donors. But the party en masse, with $100 million Nancy Pelosi at the helm, is not going to deal with that issue. Gun control is a throwaway and is an easy way out. It needs to go beyond that. So let's have a conversation about greed and avarice and why we don't have the structures in our society that catch people before they get to this point of deciding that their reality, that this course of action is the best course of action. 12 people dead. Again, I can guarantee you this one. There'll be another one, and another, and another. And people will offer prayers to a God that doesn't listen or exist, and they would go about their way. I'm desensitized to this, if I'm being honest. By the same token, I try to put myself in the position of the people who are there. And they were lives. They were just like anybody else. Eat the rich. To Guru, eat the rich. What's it? Mass shootings are the American way. Yeah. People don't spend enough time balancing their false energy in nature. I don't have no idea what that means. I don't know what that means, Murats. Jamal, I don't blame the gun, I blame the person behind it. Yeah, Clyde. But you're acting as if people function on individual decision-making processes. They don't. Anything that's in them was put in them by their society. Nobody was born being racist. Nobody was born being violent. Those things were invested into the individual from the society. It is easy to say that the individual made an individual choice. Yes, they made a choice, but let's be honest, that person didn't make that individual choice purely on their own steam. Something was put in them, some experience. What were the experiences that were put in the individual to get them to believe that this was the best course of action? Full stop. That's all I'm saying. That's an aspect of us, that's us. But there's a larger aspect of us that is environmental. It's a cultural issue. You need to engage that. I'll leave it here. All right, guys. But Jamal, maybe some people are weaker than others mentally. Yeah, I believe that. I don't mean weak as a negative here. I just mean weak as somewhat of an objective point of view of reality where there are certain issues and factors in their environment that make him difficult to compensate. Whereas one individual will be in a situation wouldn't do that and another individual would. Now you could say that's an individual choice, but let's be honest that there are environmental factors that are pressing on the person as they decide to do that. That's my only point. That's my only point. All right, I hope I made that clear. All right, guys, I'll see you shortly. Have a good one. Oh, by the way, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. And honestly, like my wife says, even $1 helps because even $1 does help. Is that the ocean? Yeah, that's the ocean. I'm near the ocean. I tried to get away from the city, and I was getting claustrophobic, and I was getting annoyed at the claustrophobia, and I was taking it out on my wife in terms of assertiveness. And at that point, I was like, all right, I need to leave. The room is too small. Environment creates behavior. Aw, thanks, Clyde. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. Thanks all.